There's an age where your brain permanently decides how it handles money. Not 18. Not when you get married. Not when you have kids. Before all of that. And here's what's terrifying. By the time most people are 50, they're still running financial patterns that got locked in before they were 25. Not because they're not smart. Not because they don't try. Because nobody told them the window to change it was closing. I'm Astrid. And I want you to meet someone before we go any further. Her name is Maya. She's 34. She earns good money, more than her parents ever did. She has a budget app on her phone she hasn't opened in 4 months. She tells herself she'll start investing seriously once things settle down. She's been saying that since she was 28. Every year she gets a raise. Every year she feels the same low-grade financial anxiety she felt at 22. She doesn't understand why. And she's starting to suspect she never will. Maya isn't unusual. Maya is the rule. And by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why she's stuck, when it happened, and what the window to change it actually looks like, because most people don't realize there even is one until it's already behind them. 3 ages. 3 windows. One pattern that determines almost everything about your financial future. And your brain learned all of it before you were old enough to understand money. Here's the thing nobody in personal finance wants to say out loud. Most people don't change financially. They repeat. They repeat their parents' relationship with money. They repeat the emotional patterns they developed during their first financial experiences. They repeat the story they formed about themselves before they had any real context for what money actually is or how it actually works. And the reason traditional financial advice fails so consistently is that it tries to fix behavior without touching the belief system underneath it. You can know exactly how compound interest works and still not invest consistently. You can understand intellectually that spending more than you earn is destructive and still do it every single month. You can know that avoiding your bank account doesn't make the problem disappear and still refuse to look at it for weeks at a time. That's not ignorance. That's identity. That's the brain operating from a program that was written years, sometimes decades, before you had any conscious input into what that program should say. The psychology of money has something that most finance books completely skip over. There are 3 specific windows in your life where your relationship with money is unusually moldable. Where the neural pathways governing your financial decisions are either being formed, reformed, or permanently calcified. Miss all 3 and you don't just stay stuck financially. You pass your patterns on. To your kids. To the people watching you. To the next generation who will inherit your financial psychology along with whatever assets or debts you leave behind. 3 ages. 3 windows. And most people spend all 3 of them on autopilot. Age 1, the imprint. Ages 17 to 24. Maya grew up watching her parents fight about money. Not dramatically. Just the low-level, constant friction of 2 people who never had enough and who never agreed on what to do about it. Dinner table tension when a bill arrived. Hushed arguments after she'd gone to bed that she could hear anyway. A general atmosphere in the house that said money is scarce, money is stress, and money is something that happens to you rather than something you direct. She didn't learn that consciously. She absorbed it. By the time Maya got her first real job at 23, her brain already had a fully formed story about money. Not facts. Not strategies. A story. And the story said, money is temporary. Money creates conflict. Saving is an act of optimism that circumstances will probably punish. The safe thing to do is spend it before something goes wrong. None of that felt like a belief system to Maya. It felt like reality. This is what behavioral economists call the financial imprint stage. The period between roughly 17 and 24 where your brain is forming the neural networks that will govern your money decisions for the rest of your life. Like learning a language. After a certain age you can still learn it, but you'll never have the effortless, automatic fluency of someone who absorbed it early. The same principle applies to your financial identity. Your brain in this window isn't learning facts about money. It's learning who you are with money. And it learns this not through classes or books, but through the texture of daily experience. What did you feel when you spent? What did you feel when you saved? What happened the first time you had debt? Did anyone model a healthy, intentional relationship with money, or did you just watch adults around you react to it? Did your first financial mistake make you more thoughtful or more convinced that you were just bad with money? Here's the punchline that should land like a brick. Your brain learned money before you understood money. And what it learned in those years became the operating system that runs underneath every financial decision you've made since. The person who watched their family live paycheck to paycheck develops a subconscious belief that money is always about to disappear. So they spend it before it can. Not because they're irresponsible, Because the spending feels like control. The person who survived their first credit card disaster in college carries a shame-based financial identity for years afterward that makes them avoid looking at their finances altogether. The avoidance isn't laziness. It's protection. Don't look at what confirms what you already believe about yourself. Most people going through this first age make 3 specific mistakes that have consequences stretching across decades. They confuse income with wealth. The first real paycheck feels like arrival. And the brain, which has been operating under scarcity, does what it always does when the pressure suddenly lifts. It spends. Not recklessly. Reasonably. A better apartment. A reliable car. Clothes that don't feel like compromises. Every individual decision makes sense. Collectively, they establish a new baseline. A new normal. And the wealth-building gap that paycheck was supposed to create gets quietly closed before it ever produces anything. They normalize debt as a life condition. Car payment. Student loans. Credit card balance. These get filed under just what adults do rather than under financial decisions with compounding consequences. And once debt becomes background noise, it stops registering as something that needs to change. And the third mistake, the quietest and most expensive one, they develop no conscious relationship with money at all. The money comes in, the money goes out, and someday when things settle down, they'll figure it out. Someday becomes the most expensive word in personal finance. Maya did all 3. By her mid-20s, she had a financial identity she hadn't chosen, a debt she'd normalized, and a vague sense that she should probably do something differently without any clear idea of what or when. Sound familiar? Identity compounds faster than money. And right now, at the end of age 1, Maya's financial identity is compounding in exactly the wrong direction. Age 2, the crossroads. Ages 28 to 35. Maya is 32 now. She earns more than she ever has. She also feels more financially anxious than she ever has, and she can't quite explain why. She sees people her age buying homes. She scrolls past vacation photos from colleagues who seem to have figured something out that she hasn't. She calculates, for the first time with any real urgency, how far behind she is on retirement savings, and the number is bad enough that she closes the tab. She's in the coherence crisis. And she doesn't know it. The coherence crisis is what behavioral psychologists call the window between your late 20s and mid-30s where your brain does something it rarely did before. It compares the financial life you're actually living to the financial life you actually want. And for a lot of people, that comparison is genuinely uncomfortable. Before this window, most people operate in either survival mode or exploration mode. Everything is new. Time feels infinite. There's always a sense that the real financial decisions will come later, once things stabilize. But somewhere around 29, the comfortable fiction that later is infinite starts collapsing. You start doing math. And the math is unkind. Here's why this window matters more than almost any other period in your financial life. The emotional urgency of the coherence crisis is the most powerful fuel available for changing deeply ingrained financial behavior. The discomfort is real. The motivation is genuine. The desire to make different choices feels more intense and more urgent than it ever has before. But the window is short. The research suggests it's most powerful between 29 and 33. Before 29, most people still feel insulated by the sense of infinite time ahead. After 33, rationalization starts replacing motivation. The mortgage makes risk-taking impractical. The kids mean you can't save aggressively right now. You've made it this far with your current approach, so it can't be that bad. The excuses become load-bearing walls in the identity. They hold the current version of yourself in place. Maya, at 32, is right in the middle of the window. And she's about to make the decision that will determine everything about what her financial life looks like at 50. Most people in this window react with panic rather than strategy. They see a trending investment and throw emergency savings at it. They compare their situation to curated social media projections of wealth and make impulsive decisions out of shame and urgency. They search for the shortcut instead of building the system. And the brutal irony is that panic-driven financial decisions in this window typically leave people worse off than if they'd done nothing at all. The losses from desperate investments. The debt from lifestyle inflation fueled by the feeling that they need to look more successful than they are. The years wasted in strategies that promised acceleration and delivered setbacks. But here's what the people who use this window well actually do. They stop. They audit. Not their portfolio. Themselves. They trace every significant financial behavior they have back to where it came from. They ask, with genuine honesty, whether each behavior is a conscious choice or an inherited reflex. They look at the story they've been telling about who they are with money and they ask whether that story is actually true or whether it's just the program that got installed before they had any input into what the program should say. This process is not comfortable, because what almost everyone discovers is that a significant portion of their financial behaviors have nothing to do with rational decision-making. Their reflexes, echoes of the first age, still running in the background, still producing the same outcomes on a larger financial stage. Maya does this audit, and what she finds is uncomfortable in the specific way that useful things often are. She finds the spending pattern she inherited from watching her parents, the impulsive purchases that feel like control, the avoidance of her bank balance that protects her from confirming what she already fears, the belief, never examined until now, that people like her don't really build wealth. That's for people who had different starting points. And this is the moment, the real crossroads of age 2. Not the investment decision, not the savings rate, the identity decision. Most people don't change financially. They repeat. But some people, right here in this window, decide to stop repeating. They don't transform overnight. They build a system. Automatic investment contributions. A spending structure that reflects their actual values rather than their social performance. A conscious, deliberate decision that the program running from age 1 no longer gets to drive unchallenged. It's not glamorous. It doesn't produce results that are visible for years. But those years are compounding. Quietly. Relentlessly. In the background of a life that looks, from the outside, pretty much the same as before. Maya starts. Late by her own estimate. Earlier than she'll be glad she didn't wait. And then she enters age 3. Age 3, the reckoning. Ages 42 to 52. Picture two people. Both worked for 20+ years. Similar incomes. Similar life circumstances on the surface. The first one used the age 2 window. She built the system in her early 30s. She kept it running even when it felt slow. She stopped performing financial success and started building actual financial security. By her late 40s, the compounding has done something remarkable. Her investment accounts are generating meaningful passive income. Work is starting to feel like a choice rather than a requirement. She has options that most people her age don't have, not because she earned dramatically more, but because of decisions made 15 years earlier that looked unremarkable at the time. The second one kept meaning to start, but always found a reason to delay. The kids. The mortgage. The job transition. The sense that the right time was always somewhere slightly ahead of where they actually were. By their late 40s, they have a comfortable life and essentially no financial foundation beneath it. The retirement account is a fraction of where it needs to be. The savings are thin. And the math, finally looked at directly, is genuinely frightening. The window for comfortable, gradual wealth building is gone. What's left requires urgency, sacrifice, and the acceptance that the result will be better than doing nothing but harder than it would have been at 30. This is the legacy reckoning. And it lands differently for different people. For some it produces clarity. They drop the rationalizations. They make the changes. They accept the conditions of the financial reality they created, and they work within them with the seriousness the moment deserves. For others it produces avoidance. They tell themselves an inheritance might come. That their income will jump. That something external will resolve a problem built through years of internal inaction. This is the most financially dangerous position available, because time is no longer an ally, and every year of continued avoidance has consequences that compound in exactly the wrong direction. But here's the dimension of age 3 that most financial content completely ignores. By your 40s and 50s, you are the environment. You are what your kids absorb when they're learning, unconsciously, automatically, permanently, what kind of person they are with money. The dinner table tension or the dinner table calm. The open, healthy conversations about money or the avoidance. The modeling of intentional saving or the modeling of financial anxiety managed through consumption. Everything we talked about in age 1. Those neural networks forming between 17 and 24. The imprint that runs for decades without being questioned. You are now part of what creates that imprint for the people watching you. Your financial decisions at the reckoning stage don't just affect your retirement account. They shape the financial identity of the people coming behind you who haven't even started yet. This is why it's called the legacy reckoning. You're not just reckoning with what you built or didn't build. You're reckoning with what you're going to pass forward. Here's the thing I've been building toward this entire time. The 3 ages of money are not really about money. They're about identity. About the story your brain constructed before you had the wisdom to choose what that story should say. About whether you examined that story during the window where examination was possible. about what the compounded consequence of that story looks like over a lifetime. Maya, at 34, is standing at the exact midpoint of this. Her age 1 imprint is running in the background. Her age 2 window is open right now today in this moment. Her age 3 hasn't been written yet. And the most important thing I can tell you about Maya is this. She's not a cautionary tale. She's an opportunity. Because she's in the window. Right now. The coherence crisis is uncomfortable, yes. But discomfort in this window is information. It's the brain saying the current program isn't producing the life you want. It's the signal that precedes change for anyone willing to do something with it rather than distract themselves until the feeling passes. The financial imprint can be rewritten. Not easily. Not instantly. But it can be done. And age 2 is the window where rewriting is most possible, most powerful, and most likely to compound into something genuinely life-changing before the reckoning arrives. The people who build lasting wealth aren't operating from superior discipline or extraordinary intelligence. They made a decision at some point in their age 2 window that the program from age 1 wasn't going to keep running unchallenged. They chose a different story. And then they lived inside that story consistently enough that it became true. Identity compounds faster than money. Choose the identity deliberately, and the money follows. Inherit the identity passively, and the money patterns follow too. One way or another, the compounding happens. The only question is what you're compounding toward. So here's what I want you to actually do with this. Not watch another video. Not add this to the mental library of things you know but don't apply. Something specific. Ask yourself, honestly, which age you're in right now. If you're in age 1, the patterns haven't calcified yet. You have the most moldable financial identity you will ever have. What you build right now, even imperfectly, even slowly, will compound into something that changes everything by your 40s. The cost of starting is small. The cost of not starting is enormous and deferred and completely invisible until it isn't. If you're in age 2, the window is open. The discomfort you feel about your financial situation right now is not a problem. It's fuel. Use it before the rationalization phase sets in and the window quietly closes behind you. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a system, started now, that compounds while you figure out the rest. If you're in age 3, the reckoning is honest information. Look at it directly. Make the changes the math requires. And understand that the most powerful thing you can do at this stage isn't just fixing your own financial position. It's changing the imprint you're creating for the people watching you. Breaking the pattern forward matters as much as fixing it backward. Maya isn't you. But she might be close enough to be useful. The ages are the same for everyone. The decisions inside them are not. Your brain learned money before you understood money. The question is whether you're going to let that version of your brain keep running the show. Or whether, starting today, you decide differently.